The question is that the motion be agreed to. I call the member for Kooyong.
Madam Deputy Speaker, I rise to pay my respects to Senator Judith Adams following her passing away on the 31st of March 2012. Indeed, it's my great honour to follow in the steps of my friend and colleague, the member for Hasluck, Mr Ken Wyatt, whose honest and genuine and sincere and heartfelt condolence there gave us a sense of his close relationship with Senator Adams, and we're very grateful to her for enabling him to be in this place. And I honestly think I speak on behalf of all my colleagues when I say his contribution in this place will be a continuation of her legacy. Madam Deputy Speaker, Senator Judith Adams was a colleague, and I may go as far as to say a friend, but I didn't know her that well, having come from different states and having only joined the Parliament in 2010. But she always struck me as hardworking, decent, modest and thoughtful. And when you hear some of the words of colleagues that have been spoken both in this place and by the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in the House, as well as those in the Senate, one gets a sense of her giant contribution to Australian public life and particularly her community in Western Australia, and someone who, sometimes quiet demeanour, covered up an incredibly detailed and eventful life. Senator Adams moved to WA in 1968 from New Zealand, where she met her husband, Gordon Adams, who was a pilot with the Royal Flying Doctor Service. In New Zealand, Senator Adams had joined the New Zealand Territorial Army and gained a diploma in operating theatre nursing. And there she made a significant contribution to the New Zealand military. In fact, she continued the legacy of her grandfather and her mother and other family members in being servicemen and servicewomen. In fact, her grandfather was an Anzac, a New Zealand Anzac, who lost his life at Gallipoli. And her mother was a hospital ship nurse during World War II. Judith not only served in the army and was a nurse and a midwife, but when she came to the Parliament as a Senator for Western Australia, she rose to the rank of Senior Deputy Whip in the Senate. She was an active member of Senate committees. She was a strong supporter of the ADF Parliamentary Exchange, and she also was a strong advocate for women's health, and particularly those in remote areas. She bravely battled against cancer and in fact fought for the rebate for external breast prostheses, as well as support for patients with cancer to make particular travel arrangements. She was always an advocate for those who were battling against cancer, as she knew firsthand what this struggle entailed. My colleague in the Senate, Senator Helen Kroger, has spoke of her care for her staff and her commitment to the Liberal cause. When she stood for the Senate, Senator Adams said, I have stood for the Senate knowing that I have the background, the experience and the will to represent WA and to especially represent those people who live and who work in rural and remote areas. Looking back on the contribution of Senator Judith Adams, and one can see that she stayed true to those words, that she did make a significant contribution to the advancement of the lives of people in rural and regional Australia, and that she did advance the cause of women's health, and she did advance the cause of the Liberal Party and the Coalition. Madam Deputy Speaker, coming to Parliament is a great privilege. It's a special place. Few people get that opportunity. But it can also be a harsh place because people are motivated for different reasons to do different things, some noble and some not. But I think universally, Judith Adams was seen as one of those good people, one of those people who came here to make a real difference and did not care for her own personal well-being as much as she did care for the well-being of others. That was a hallmark of her career in Parliament, and that is a hallmark of her legacy that she has left behind. I join with all my colleagues on both sides of the House in paying tribute to Senator Judith Adams' considerable career, both prior to joining the Parliament and since she began work in this place. I also like to send my best wishes to her sons Robert and Stuart, to her daughters-in-law Anne and Tammy, and to her grandchildren Taylor and Michelle. They have the affection and the good wishes and the condolences of everyone in this place. Judith Adams, may you rest in peace.